What's up, everybody? I want to start this video out by saying I apologize for not getting a video out sooner. My wife and I have been prepping heavily for the arrival of our next child. This is our second child coming up in the next week or two. So it's been kind of busy around here, and consequently I haven't gotten to play many games of Dice Masters or really make any videos of some sort. I'm actually working on another one besides this one right now, so I'll be getting hopefully that out soon as well. Anyway, I have my copy of Iron Man and War Machine, the starter set here, and I thought we could crack it open and I could give you my thoughts on some of the cards that are in it. So we got the contents all sealed there, along with the Iron Man and War Machine starter set rule book. I actually like keeping the most recent rule book on hand, as these rule books do get updated with every set. So worth keeping, worth holding on to, digging through, seeing if there's something interesting there. So I guess I'll put this off to the side. All right, now on to the portion that I have not opened yet. So opening this up, we've got all the dice here. And again, just so you know, if you weren't aware already, starter sets are built for two players to be able to sit down and play. So dumping all these dice out. Ugh. There we go. Wow, look at that. They stuck to the tape there. And again, this is one of those situations where if you want to buy two of these, you'd actually have to buy two of these in order to get 4 dice for these characters, especially with this one, because this starter set is the first actually to not accompany a gravity feed. So, for example, you will not find any of these dice anywhere but the starter set. So if you want 4 copies of 4 dice for a certain card, you're going to have to pick that up on your own, buy 2 of these starter sets in order to do that. One of the things that I like that they're doing now is they're including a little keywords and symbols page, little card that you can carry around with you, and it'll walk you through each of the keywords, all the symbols that are represented in this set. So if it's a gravity feed, they actually put it on the back of the booster pack card stock. If it's a, I guess in this situation, with it being a starter set, they put a little extra card so that you can just kind of take this around with you. And if you're unsure about what a keyword is, you can just pop this out and look at it and say, oh yeah, that's right, it is that thing. The only new affiliation is Stark Industries, and the only new keyword is Suit Up. And Suit Up is an interesting ability in that when you purchase a die with Suit Up, you can immediately swap out a die that the word Suit Up, the keyword Suit Up has attached to it. That goes into your KO pile, so it gets KO'd, and you bring the die that you purchased out onto the field at level 2. So it's very cool. So looking at the cards, the first card we have up here, first set of 3 is Howard Stark. Okay, Howard Stark is, I think he carries the ally keyword on all of his cards. So this version of him is called Father, and it is a 2-cost mass character with a shield affiliation. And so he's got the ally ability, and it says on his burst phase, which is on his level 3 side, Howard Stark cannot be targeted by global abilities. Not a lot of utility here. He's a 1/2, a 2/2, and a 1/2/3. You even have to pay for his 1/2/2 side. So if you value allies, this is an option, but otherwise it's probably not the best card. Let's see if any of his other versions are any good. So this one's a 3-cost mask character. So again, has the ally keyword, and this one says at the start of your turn you can sacrifice this character die, which means it goes to the used pile and not to the KO. And it says if you do, other character dice you control gain +2 attack. So this is a much more powerful option, a much more powerful ability, and this one basically just buffs everything that you have for +2 attack, which is, like I said, much more powerful, something along the lines of something you'd want to run. Definitely want to play around with that. That is, you could put some interesting teams together with that one. 3-cost mask character. Again, this is his third iteration. It's got the ally keyword, and this one says, at the start of your turn, you may sacrifice this character die. If you do, spin a character up and up one level, and it gains Iron Will. Okay, so again, Iron Will is an ability that states this die. So like, let's pretend that this die here has Iron Will. If it's attacking a character that's going to KO it, Iron Will actually protects it if it hasn't taken damage that turn. So even though this blue die here would KO this character with Iron Will normally, Iron Will actually steps in and says, I haven't taken damage to this point, so you won't KO me. So it's a sort of a protection clause. It's very cool. So this is a way to give Iron Will. Noticing the thickness on these cards, they do feel thicker than some of the cards in previous sets or gravity feed boxes. I appreciate that. Reminds me of the D&D cards. The D&D set is noticeably thicker, especially if you pick up the first D&D set. They got some like seriously thick card stock for that one, and they feel really good actually. Or at least I thought so. Some people didn't. So we got Hulkbuster Iron Man. He's a 6-cost fist character, and he's got the Iron Man affiliation. He says, it says Hulkbuster Iron Man cannot be blocked by character dice with purchase cost 6 or more. He's a 155, a 266, and a 377, so he's basically about normal on stats for a 6-drop. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have a very good ability in that. Well, I guess you could say it's good in the sense that he's not going to get KO'd by much anything else besides that. Of course, in this meta and with these cards that are out, you can KO characters without actually causing combat damage fairly easily. So not a lot of usefulness in that one, but there are some good versions of this card. For example, here's one. So this has the Suit Up Iron Man ability, which means that if you've got an Iron Man out on the field, when you purchase this die, you're going to KO this Iron Man die. Let's pretend that's Iron Man, even though it's a War Machine. You're going to KO that. It's going to move over there. And the die that you just purchased, this Hulkbuster, sitting right here, it's going to pop out on level 2. So immediately upon purchasing a 6-cost, you can have a 6/6 out on the field. This is something that WizKids is doing a lot more. The idea that you can purchase something and then immediately, if you have the energy to pay for it or the abilities that function this way, you can immediately get it out to the field. It's creating a lot of a faster effect to the game. And it's some stuff that's coming out here with these 2 sets that are out currently. Both this and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set that just came out as well. So that is the Suit Up ability. All that to say, there's Suit Up. And then here's the third iteration of Hulkbuster Iron Man. It says he's a 7-cost fist character, and it says when fielded, you may KO target opposing character die with purchase cost of 6 or more. If you do, gain 2 life. So you can't use this on one of your own characters, which would be a little bit more useful in that you could do it on itself, but sadly you can't. You can KO something that is a very large drop on their side, but for a 7-cost character, this is probably not what you need to be running. It's not strong enough. 4-cost Iron Manor. Again, this has the Iron Man affiliation, Stark Industries affiliation. So this also has the Suit Up Iron Man ability keyword. This one has a really nice global too. It says pay 0 once per turn. On your turn, spin down one of your Iron Man affiliated characters. You may field one of these characters for 1 less, which is great because look at the fielding cost on this character. It's got a 144, a 264, and a 266. So good stat lines, especially for a 4-cost, but a high total fielding cost of 5 total. So if you can use this ability, put this on a team with some other Iron Man affiliated characters, this actually gains a lot of value. And this is something I've actually experienced firsthand in a game that I played off camera a couple of days ago, where a friend and I just sat down, cracked open his version of the starter set, split into 4 character teams, and he got a lot of these out really early, really easily too. So here's another Iron Manor, excuse me. This one has a Suit Up Iron Man ability as well. This one does not have the global. This one just states that Iron Manor gains 1+1+1 for each other different active Iron Man affiliated character. This could be good. This could be bad, especially depending on what comes out of other sets with this affiliation now. As of right now, and we'll look at the rest of the cards coming up, there are a few cards that work with this, but none that are super huge and game-changing to make you really want to build around a Stark Industries team. So this one I'd actually rank lower than the Iron Manor that we looked at just a second ago. Here we have a 5-cost version of this card, and it is another suit-up Iron Man. This one, though, however, says Iron Manor gains +1/+1 for each other active character, and it has the global. This is active Stark Industries character, and it has the global that I mentioned earlier. So I would actually say this one is probably the best, even though it's a higher cost. This one probably has the best upside in that it can buff itself, or it can be buffed by other things like that. So even just throwing down another affiliated character, one other affiliated character, makes this jump to a 7/7 for 5, and you could probably field it for 1. So pretty nice, pretty nice. So we have Iron Spider. We've got 3 iterations of Iron Spider, and he has both the Spider-Man and the Iron Man affiliation. He's a 3-cost fist character. He's got a 1/1/2 fielding cost. He's got a low back end, but actually that's not too terrible, especially if you're just playing within this set, within this starter set. And it says, when fielded, target one of those affiliation character dice you control gains +1 defense. On its burst face, which is its top side, it says when fielded instead, each of your those character dice get +1 defense. So you put this on a team with a bunch of those affiliations, and hope you get to that side and throw it down. Everything gets +1 defense. Not a lot of utility, but it's a 3-cost, and it's got a huge, for a 3-cost, it's got a large attack side. So that's good-ish. Here we have a suit-up Iron Spider or Spider-Man. So this, in order to trigger this, you would actually have to find an Iron Spider or a Spider-Man that you'd want to run from another set, and then run it, and then put it out on the field, and then buy this for 3 and pop it on out there. And that's the only ability on this card. So I would say that this probably doesn't have a lot of utility. Probably not a lot of utility. I'd also like to go back and look at the stat lines of Iron Spider and Spider-Man from the other sets. See if any of those stat lines suffer greatly compared to this one. This one is not overwhelming. It's not this huge thing that pops out and makes you go, oh, that's amazing. So it'd be interesting to see if there's anything that you can trade up for this die. So we have an Iron Spider that's too cool for words. That's a subtitle that gets used a lot in Dice Masters. It says, when fielded, deal 2 damage to target character die for each different active character you control, each of those affiliated characters. I actually like this one a lot. It's a 4-drop, and so these stat lines are still pretty comparable to 4-drops. There are a few that are sort of outliers, but for throwing those out, these are pretty comparable stats. And this is a really cool ability in that you just throw a couple of these characters down and then ping out something like crazy. Deal 4 damage, 2 damage even is just okay. Just hitting the board, dealing 2 damage to one of my opponent's characters is already good. So I actually like this one the best. So here we have an interesting and in some cases not so good card. We have Jarvis. Jarvis is a 3-cost mask Avengers character, and he's got the ally ability. Some of his abilities are actually very interesting. It's kind of hard to read that on the screen, so I'm going to get as close as I can. It says, when fielded, deal X damage to target character die, where X is the number of character dice you fielded this turn, including Jarvis. Okay, now this does count sidekicks, because once sidekicks hit the field, they are indeed characters. So you could technically field 2 sidekicks and then field Jarvis. And I guess he would count himself too, so you would deal 3 damage to a target character die, which is really, really cool. He's also got a global here, which gives him a little bit more utility. Pay 0 once per turn. On your turn, spin down one of your Iron Man character dice, and if you do so, you may field an Iron Man character die for 1 less. So it's the same global as the cards that you've seen before for Iron Man. I think the danger of this card, because he's a 3-cost mask, you kind of expect maybe a slightly higher defensive stat from him, but he's got a 1-1, a 1-2, and a 1-3. It's a really good ability, though, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. Do you want the stats? Do you want a character, or do you want something that can hit the board and ping? This kind of toes the line between both. When I played against my friend, this is one of the cards that I took and used, and I was able to use it really well. It actually played really well, especially for the 3-cost. Unfortunately for Jarvis, his other iterations are not as good. So we've got Ally on this 4-cost version of him, same affiliation. And it says, when fielded, the next character die you field this turn costs 1 less to field and gets 1 +1/+1. So this is another one that I actually would consider running. Because it's a when fielded effect, which means you can trigger as many times as you have the dice for it. And it's interesting because it actually buffs him. So you play Jarvis and then field another Jarvis and then field another Jarvis, and each Jarvis gets buffed +1/+1 and costs less to field. Of course, this wouldn't really help his fielding cost because his total fielding cost is already 0. So it probably encourages you to throw something down that has a fielding cost to get full value. Nevertheless, I would still prefer the 3-cost because now we're getting into some seriously dangerous lack of value with regards to the die faces with a 4-drop. You can't really justify paying 4 for an ability that's just okay. Well, it's pretty good, but it's not great. Maybe if you put them on an ally team, I don't know. And here we have probably the most unwieldy card in this starter set. This is a 5-cost Jarvis, and his ability says, when fielded, gain X life, where X is the number of character dice you fielded this turn, including himself. And unfortunately, because in Dice Masters you cannot go over 20 life, this card is really useless. I guess you could use it as a nice coaster for your drink while you're watching TV or something. Rescue. 2-cost, Bolt character, affiliated, no text, decent stat line. Got an 031, a 133, and a 143. It's got a good range of other characters that it goes with when it's a Bolt character, as being a Bolt character. So the fact that it has no card text, this is not a terrible card. This is pretty good. I mean, a 2-cost with those stats, it's not bad at all, especially a total fielding cost of 2. That's fine. Here's her 3-cost variant. She's got a suit up ability, and you can suit her up by KOing a Pepper Potts or another rescue from another set, which is strange that they said that. I guess you could KO a rescue in your field to field a rescue. Cool. Yeah, that's cool. At the end of your roll and reroll step, your opponent loses 1 life for each rescue die that rolled energy face. So this doesn't actually have to be on the field to do this. This is one of those few abilities. In fact, all of Rescue's card abilities, both in this set and the Civil War set, actually have this non-keyword keyword that you don't actually have to be active in order for her abilities to trigger. So what this looks like, and here's a rescue die, this really cool looking blue die. So when you roll this die, and it's going to be a little out of focus, I apologize. Let's pretend you roll her and she comes up that, right? On your second, this is your re-roll version. The moment she comes up as this energy is the moment this ability triggers, right? So if you roll her and she comes up on a character face, and then you re-roll her and she comes up on an energy face, she is now energy, and that ability triggers. So that's pretty cool. Here we have a 4-cost version of her. So at the end of your roll and reroll step, and this is a lot of text here, she's got that suit-up ability again. At the end of your roll and reroll step, draw 1 die for each rescue die you rolled that shows an energy face. Field any Iron Man affiliated character dice that you drew at level 1. Return all other dice drawn to your bag. So this is sort of ramp, sort of not. If you have Iron Man affiliated characters, then this is totally ramp. And it's also board presence. If you don't, or it can be board presence. If you don't have any in your bag, this is pretty much a moot point. It does nothing. So you get to look at something in your bag and you put it right back. If it went to prep, that would be way cooler and way more useful, but it doesn't. So this is kind of hit or miss. If you put some more pieces around it, this is actually great. If you don't, then it's mediocre, right? So really, the 3 cost, even the 2 cost, are probably a little better than this, especially because there's not a lot of characters right now that have the Iron Man affiliation. Actually, there's only characters in this set that have the Iron Man affiliation. Once that gets added to, that card can up in value and up in abilities. So here we have Space Armor Iron Man. He's got the Suit Up ability that KO an Iron Man die from another set and pop this one down. He's got a 1/3/5, a 1/3/7, and a 2/4/7 side. He's a 4-cost shield character. Stat-wise, it's pretty comparable to the Iron Mans from other sets. So that's pretty cool. Of course, the Iron Man from other sets did have that same stat line, but were mostly 5 costs. So speaking of a 5 cost, here is a 5 cost version of him. This says it's got the Suit Up ability again. This one on its burst faces, which are the first 2 sides, say each time an opposing character die deals damage to him, you gain 1 life. So this is like a poor man's version of the AVX Iron Man Philanthropist, that you could deal a damage to it or deal any damage to it whatsoever, and every time you did, it would gain life. This one, however, stipulates that your opponent has to deal it, your opponent's character die. Before, there was a combo, and this is actually a team that I want to put back together. I had it for a little while. And the old Iron Man Philanthropist, you'd throw that down, and then you'd put Magic Missile down on your side of one of your basic actions. Then you just ping it with bolts and heal up to full, especially because if you got it on its lowest face, it would heal you for 2 rather than for 1. So I prefer that Iron Man over this one. Here we have a 6-cost shield character, Space Armor Iron Man. If Space Armor Iron Man would be KO'd by combat damage, you may pay a shield. If you do, spin him up 1 level and clear all damage from him. And when fielded, he gains Overcrush on those 2 burst faces. I actually like this one a lot. I wish it could. I wish it had a 1 stat higher stat line of attack, and then I would really actually try to build around it, because it's got such a large body. It's probably never really going to get KO'd, but even if it does, you can pay a shield and just pop him up to level 3, clear all the damage off him. Every time you field him, he's got Overcrush, so you can swing basically the very turn you field him and feel pretty safe about him not getting KO'd. This is a pretty cool card. If he had 1 more stat of attack all the way around, this card would be really powerful. As it is, it's still pretty cool, and I'd play around with it. It's a little pricey for 6. If this were 5, it would be really powerful. I mean, even just a 5 cost is pretty cool. So 6, it kind of mitigates all of the power spiking that could happen. So here we have the 3 War Machines. We have a 3-cost shield character, War Machine. He's the affiliated Iron Man affiliation, and all of his iterations have fast. So this is the 3-cost version that just straight up has fast. It's got an 024, a 134, and a 245. That's a good stat line for a 3-cost. The 2 is a little high, but you're gaining an ability that basically means he's probably not going to get KO'd unless, especially not in the early game. He's not going to get KO'd. You got to pay 3 for him, so he's not this super hulking block heavy machine, but he can do some work as just 1 of or 2 of in the early game, especially because he has that fast. So he's not going to get KO'd by a lot. A 4-cost shield character, or 4-cost shield version. He's also got fast, and it says when he KOs an opposing character die with combat damage, deal 2 damage to your opponent. This is cool, and he's got the burst face that says gets +1 attack. So really he's an 034 on his bottom side versus the 134. So that's really cool. This I like this card a lot, because essentially if you get him out and start attacking with him, and you're forcing your opponent to block by being aggressive with this card. Run something that buffs attack even and start buffing his attack. Your opponent's deciding, okay, do I want to block to avoid 5 damage and take 2 instead? It's basically like a mini Overcrush that's going off, which I really like. So this has the fast ability. It's another 4-cost shield version. It also has the suit up Iron Man version, so you can KO an Iron Man from another set and prep this or put this one right in at level 2. At the burst side, which is his one side, he cannot be blocked by sidekicks. I don't put a lot of stock into that one because if he's being blocked by a sidekick, it's not the worst thing in the world, but any card text is better than no card text. That's actually not true. It changes. That's not true. Moving right along, we're on to the basic actions, and these are some of the things I was most excited for in this set. Oh, by the way, there's color indicator cards because those get used. Some people use those. I do not personally use those. So there are a few of these that are reprints of old basic actions, and some of these that are brand new. Like, for example, here's a brand new one. This is Armor Wars. It's a 4-cost basic action card, and it says KO target character die with suit up. Each player loses 1 life. So this is an interesting double-edged sword. It's 4, so it's expensive. It only really works with these cards from this set. This won't see play, probably period, until there's some serious stuff with suit up. If they continue to support that keyword, then this could see play, but as of right now, it doesn't. Here we have Cone of Cold. This is a reprint from the original D&D set. I absolutely love the artwork on this card. It is one of a kind. It's beautiful. And so if you don't remember Cone of Cold, or if you never played the D&D set, this says deal 1 damage to target character die, deal 2 damage to a different target character die, and deal 3 damage to another different target character die. So you have to spread around 1 damage, 2 damage, and 3 damage. And you may only use this action if there are at least 3 character dice in the field zone. So you can't ping something for 1, ping something for 2, and then leave the 3 off. The other interesting thing about this card and what people used to do is they would actually, if there are 3 character dice and one of those is yours, you actually do have to ping yours. But you'd throw the 1 on yours and throw the 2 and the 3 on your opponent's. Now, the most important thing about this card is its global ability. Its global ability says that you can pay a fist and then target blocked character die gets +2 attack. Now, this is super important because you throw down something that has Overcrush, or you give something Overcrush, and then you pump it full of fists, because like 3 fists is +6 attack, right? And then it just KOs whatever it's fighting, whatever it's engaged with, and then deals all that extra damage. You just keep pumping it with fists, and you can get some really, really big swings in with just this. It's really cool to see that card reprinted, even though there's no standard format in the WizKids support, tournaments. So this, as a reprint, it will see the exact same amount of play as Cone of Cold does right now. This is just nice artwork and a little bit more clarified card text. Here's a really, really fun one. This has both control and aggro aspects to it. This is Hypervelocity. It's a 5-cost. The cost itself makes me believe that this is probably meant more for control, but maybe not. I don't know. It's a continuous die, which means you put it out there after you purchase it or roll it, and it sits there and doesn't get removed by anything unless there's a die that says remove action die, or you read the card text and see what it says there. So this says continuous. At the end of each player's turn, if they did not attack with any character dice, they lose 2 life. Okay, so this is both defensive and offensive, because if you're running a control team and you just throw out a sidekick, you're good to go, right? You keep your control pieces out on the board. You just throw a sidekick. They block it or not. Who cares? If you're aggro, this is even more interesting for you because you're already going to be pushing every turn, but you're forcing your opponent on their turn to go, okay, if I don't attack, I'm going to lose 2 life. Do I need to attack with something? It makes them think about whether or not they want to roll sidekicks as sidekicks or energy. Very, very cool. And then the next interesting part of this is on these 2 burst faces, if it's sitting out in the field on those burst faces, your opponent can actually pay 3 life, or you can pay 3 life during your main step to send this die to the used pile. So basically removing it and making it cycle again. So there is removal option for this built onto the card, but you do have to pay 3 life to do so. So really, really cool card. I really like that one. I also like this one. This one's really cool as well. So this is one against many. It has another 5-cost basic action. And it says deal target player X damage, where X is the number of character dice in their field zone, +2. Okay, so the reason I love this card, let's say you're playing against Bard, right? Bard is a deck that is predicated upon throwing out a bunch of character dice into the field zone, buffing them with Bard, pushing for a ton of damage, right? So I had 4 dice there. They all get buffed like crazy. Right, the moment I play this card, and it's expensive, right? So it's not going to hit a ton. You're not going to buy 4 of these things, because your opponent brings it as well. No, so you're going to have 1 or 2 of these tops, absolutely tops. But every time you slam it down, it's dealing X damage, where X is the number of character dice in field zone +2. So my opponent has 4 character dice. He's taking 6. I cycle this with some action ability that cycles actions, some ability that pops that action back over into prep area. And all of a sudden, I'm looking every turn I can deal him some catastrophic amount of damage. And then if I can just survive his attacks, because he's going to want to attack to drop his field after he sees this circling around. If I can survive those, then I'm actually way ahead. Very, very cool. I would like to see if that can act that way against decks like the Bard. So here we have Smash. I think this was what is this? What's the remake of this? Someone chime in and tell me. This is certainly, what is that? Reckless Melee? Is it Reckless Melee? I don't know. It looks like the art for Reckless Melee too. Kind of interesting. This is a 3-cost reprint of a 3-cost card. KO target level 1 character die. On the double burst face, it says instead KO target level 1 or 2. And then it has a global pay fist. Target blocked character die deals no combat damage this turn. That's not Reckless Melee. What is that? I don't know. Sound out in the comments below and let me know. Here we have Surprise Attack. Surprise Attack is a reprint as well. It's a 2-cost. Deal 1 damage to target character die. Instead, deal 2 on those burst faces. 2-cost. Pinging. It's kind of nice. Like I said, reprints. Here's some upgrade cards. These are really cool. So these are cards or dice that you play on a card. Really, I mean, you don't play it out. You use it, and it's called an upgrade, but it basically just buffs, kind of like any other action dice. It says target character die you control gains Iron Will. And then there's these really interesting stipulations on all of the upgrade cards. This one says lose 2 life if that character die is not a shield character die. So if you're not playing this on shield action or shield characters, then you're going to be losing life every time you use it. But it's a 2-cost, so you can buy these up quickly. Plus, you can also consider it just as an easy way to get more energy each turn. So here's another upgrade. This is Proton Cannon. It says target character die you control gains Overcrush. So it's very much like Hulk Out in that sense. But it says KO that character die at the end of the turn if it is not a fist character. So if you're not playing this on a fist, it gets KO'd at the end of the turn. Here we have Upgrade Smokescreen. Smokescreen says target character die you control gets +1 attack. If it's not if it is a level 1 mask character, it can't be blocked. So there's no bad thing about this. But if it's a level 1 mask character, then it gets an extra added bonus effect in that it cannot be blocked. And the last card in this set is an Upgrade Unibeam. All of these upgrades are 2-cost. This one says target character die you control gets +2 attack. If it's a bolt character, it also gains fast. So this combos really well, really well with those rescue cards, especially that 2-cost rescue. You pick up a 2-cost rescue and a 2-cost upgrade Unibeam. You throw these together and she's all of a sudden got a +2 attack and fast. She's a 6/3 on her top side for 2. That's very good. She's not going to get KO'd either. So all in all, everything in that set is what I've showed you. This is everything that comes in it. Oh, that's not true, actually. That's a lie. You get these cool bags. I like that WizKids is doing this where they print art on the bags. I really appreciate that. Got some nice art on that one. And you've got, I think, no, it's different art. It's not the same. So this one features War Machine. Okay. Oh, whoa. Do I get 3 bags? You get 3 bags now? Wow. Or maybe I just got 3 bags. Maybe am I really lucky? Did I just get 3 bags for no reason than just getting 3 bags? Does everyone get 3 bags? Sound out in the comments below. I got 2 War Machine bags. Hey man, there you go. I'll take 3 bags. All right, so all in all, I like a lot of the cards in this. So I like about half the cards in this set, and that doesn't mean I don't like half the cards in this set. It just means I guess I should say it better. I value highly about half the cards in this set. I think some of the cards in this set are just waiting to be built upon, and whether or not they'll be good really hinges upon how WizKids chooses to support the Iron Man affiliation. I think if they throw out a couple of really nice Iron Man affiliation bonuses or cards that have card text that support Iron Man affiliated characters, then it could be a really, really fun affiliation to build around. As of right now, there are a few nice pieces of Iron Man affiliated characters. I would really point you to the 4-cost Iron Manor is a good one. The cards that I've mentioned, like this 2-cost or the 3-cost Rescue, I think is really nice. Scroll back through that video if you want to try and hear which ones specifically I mentioned again. But overall, I think I'll say this: I like the art in all of these cards. I don't think there's a card on here I don't like the art of. That's just really powerful popping art. I like that a lot. I appreciate the feel of the cards. I feel like they're a little thicker than some cards. I like the colors that they've done for the basic action dice this time around. It's not anything new. They've done these colors before, but these are the colors that I prefer. Overall, I would definitely suggest picking this set up, and I think it's a lot of fun to play, especially if you're playing along with a friend. If you have something that, if you and a friend just sit down and play just the starter set alone, we had a blast playing just one game, and it was a lot of fun. So I would recommend picking this up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below on these cards. Let me know what you think is the best card, what's the worst card, and whether or not you've actually bought this starter set. All right, talk again.